Hey y'all, welcome to the Big Mama Was Wrong podcast. I'm your host Marisha, and here we dive into wellness and growth surrounding mental health and culture. Let's get into it. Hey y'all, I'm excited. Today I have another guest with me, Miss Swanda Warren. Some people know her as Swan Shine. I'm gonna let her introduce herself and then we'll get started.
What's up, y'all? This is your girl, Swanda Warren. I'm the owner, operator, designer at Irresistible by Swan's Design. I do a group with one of my friends called Two Fab, Two Friends, and a blog where we reach out to whomever that needs encouragement, where we're just talking about the latest topic, how to apply the Bible to those topics so that we can move forward in what we are called to do.
Nice. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for being a part of this. I appreciate it. So
Yes.
you and I have we've collaborated. I don't know if you could say it's collaborated, but we've crossed paths in various aspects, various domains, whether we were vending at the same event. I have been your brand ambassador and model, some of your earrings. We have mutual people, so we have supported mutual people or however it looks like. So we've seen each other in various aspects. And it's also been times that I've come to you like, listen, this is an idea that I have. What you think? Or, you just help me unpack things. And sometimes it's really like being the hype man, I guess you could say, that I needed in that time to get over the slump, to, get out what I needed to get out and get where I needed to be. What is your take on doing it scared?
Listen, life is filled with uncertainties. And with those uncertainties, you have to rely on something or someone. Who I choose to rely on is God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. Can I talk about them on this podcast?
Yes.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. Literally, like that's not a cliche. That's not something that I just want to say, but literally, I want him to order my steps in everything that I do, in my thinking, in every single thing. And sometimes we forget, like sometimes, like, hey, here's a decision that I want to make. And I'm like, hey, he's not even ordering my steps. Like he's behind me right now. And he should
Hmm.
be in front of me. And sometimes that's where fear sets in because guess what? We try to do it through our strength. And he
Hmm.
said, do all things through Christ who gives us the strength. So when we
Right.
start to rely on friends, when we start to rely on self, when we start to rely on our children, on our whatever, that's what's giving you the strength. And guess what? That strength is going to fade. But his
Hmm.
strength is always going to be there to uplift us, to push us, to remind us. And so that even if we feel like something like fear is going to try to creep in, we got to identify like where is the fear coming from? What
Hmm.
is the root of this fear? Because you don't want fear to turn into a fruit because of the root, right? You want to
Hmm.
hit it at the root so that that fruit of fear is not on your tree of life. Come on here. But we don't do that. We have all these fruit of doubt, fruit of unbelief, fruit of lack of confidence, fruit of whatever, and it causes our tree to be heavy with the wrong things.
Hmm.
And then we can't even go. We can't even produce the goodness of God or the goodness of the ideas of the vision of the plans that we have because it's heavy with the wrong things.
Hmm. I
And
think
sometimes, go ahead, friend.
my bad. Go ahead. You got it. You got it. You're in your zone. Go ahead.
And sometimes we stand tall, but we got people eating the fruit of doubt because they see us, right?
Hmm.
And if we have the fruit of goodness, if we have the fruit of joy, if we have the fruit of business, if we have the fruit of love, that's what we want to feed people. And that's what we want to feed ourselves too, so that we can have that as our energy while God is ordering our steps.
Okay. That makes, you already know I was going to say it. It makes a lot of sense. But I agree with you 100%. I know that sometimes it's things like these visions that God has given me or ideas or just things I've had in my heart. Like, yeah, I really want to do this, but I have legit, or I should say I have legitimately been scared because of things that you've mentioned, like self-doubt, which for me sometimes has led to like self-sabotage, procrastination. Sometimes I could be so good for procrastinating on something that I don't know how to do or I don't know how it's going to turn out. Then I kind of drag my feet about getting it done or even trying to make sure that everything is perfect. So it was a few years ago, probably like 3 to 4 years ago. Whenever the new year comes, to ask God, like, God, what's my word for the year? And so I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, his word for me was don't let perfection become procrastination. And that it's like you're so busy trying to get every single detail right to just make it perfect that it stifles or delays or you begin to procrastinate and getting it out because it's not perfect based on how I felt like it should be. And it took me some time to kind of unpack, what it was that he was saying to me. But what I learned was the perfection that I thought I wanted was fear of like rejection or fear that it wouldn't be supported or fear that I wouldn't hit the goal. So it made me feel like I had to have everything perfect to make sure that those factors wouldn't be there. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't
Absolutely.
it wasn't like when I think back on it based on kind of compared to how I think now, those factors that I was worried about, they don't go away. People are still going to be critics. Not everybody is going to go along with or support what you do. You may not always hit the goal as soon as you set out to hit it, but just the mindset of God telling me, like, just do it in excellence and start from where you are versus like me trying to get every single detail right and then it taking months or years to roll out something that I could have just done my best and built as I went. Big difference.
Yeah. Man, that's so good and that's so true. And I think that when we have that perfect plan, we leave no room for him.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we started, it's like, all right, because this is so big that I gotta rely on God.
Mm-hmm.
I have no choice. If I take those steps by myself, I feel like, okay, where he at? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's how it should be. So that when we're taking those steps, we're gonna be like, well, did I seek him first?
Mm-hmm.
And all his righteousness, right? Did I seek him in this choice or did I just go?
Mm-hmm.
Because once we start going, we're gonna go reverse because we're gonna have to go back to him.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, we can seek him for the ride now, or we're gonna have to press reverse to go back to get him.
Yeah.
Because he'll sit there and be like, oh, okay, well, you know what? My child is going out there. She got a little more confidence, but she didn't even ask me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the manufacturer of this dream that she has. I'm the manufacturer of the feet that she has. I'm the manufacturer of this mind, but she's not even consulting me. I'm guilty as charged right here, hands and feet up. Y'all can't see me, but I got hands and feet up. Because we do that all the time. And then guess what? Then we become a cheerleader of the fear.
Mm-hmm.
We cheering it on, like we self-sabotage. You just said it, Marisha. We start doing that. And when you said that, I start like, why do we cheer fear on?
Mm-hmm.
And then we go nowhere.
Yeah.
We go
Yeah.
nowhere. We get nothing done. Like you just said, we start to say, oh, what if? What if it don't work? What if people gonna talk whether you do great, whether you post every day, whether you post once a month, whether you never post, they're gonna be looking for you, like where's she at? If you post something amazing, because sometimes you like, this is fire content. When I create earrings, I'm like, these are fire. And then people are like, oh, okay, that's okay. But something that I don't think is
Mm-hmm.
great. And I'm like, God help me. Is this what I should? People love it. Like that's how you know the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you know when you're in the will of the Father, when you are
Mm-hmm.
doing these things. Like it's your vision, right? It's your plan, but you got to include him in it.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes he can keep us away from a lot of mistakes or things that we shouldn't have done, things that we shouldn't have invested in. But we decided to do it on our own because we took a class and now we feel like we have all the knowledge. And he's
That's
like, yeah,
true.
you got the knowledge, but come over here so I can help you make it wisdom
Yeah.
with the application of it. And
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of that, friend, would definitely stifle us. And the spirit of competition can cause fear to brew in us and cause us to not do it because, man, they're already doing it. Man, they doing it better. Man, they got a team of 20 and it's just me.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Yeah, and if it's you and God, guess what? You got the winning team. You already won.
For
Okay?
sure. Yeah.
That's all you need. Because sometimes they can have a team of 10 and it can be chaotic and you compare yourself and you jealous of them. And you don't even know the inner works.
So I was listening, I don't know if it was a podcast or what, but I was listening to someone that was creative and they were saying not to be afraid of duplication or
Woo!
competition because when you go on to like if you're in a grocery store and you go down the bread aisle, all of it is bread, but it's so many different brands of bread, types of bread. Something caters to specific needs. So you might have keto bread, you might have wheat bread, you might have sugar-free bread, you might have these different things. So in your mind, you can't think to yourself like, well, someone doing this or this has already been done. So there's no need for me to produce what's in my heart to produce or what I desire to produce because it's already out there. But it's just like being on that bread aisle. It's people who need the specific type of bread, people who prefer a specific brand. That's what they're going to go to. But that doesn't mean that your bread does not belong on the aisle or it won't, no one will not want your bread. And then even now, as I'm thinking, if you think about, especially in North Carolina, because if we're talking about a hurricane coming or us losing electricity, we're gonna get some bread and water. So what may seem like it's not what you're putting out there now may not necessarily be needed. There could be a time down the road where they're like, the only thing I see is this store brand bread, but I'm gonna get it because we need the bread. So it's it's so many just even talking to myself as I talk to even really process out what we feel sometimes is like you may be afraid of rejection, but the rejection could just be your own thinking, but there
Mm.
really could be a need for what it is that God has put in your heart to put out there.
Oh gosh, Marisha, that's so good because there are going to be duplications of the thing. And I think about just like people that teach the word of God.
Hmm.
Lots of people. And but if that's what you're called to do, you don't say, I'm not going to teach the gospel because everybody else is doing it. Your sound, your appearance, your demeanor is going to attract your audience, just like you were just saying about the bread. You I look at YouTube clips that was recorded years ago.
Yeah.
That's impacting me right now. The date 1999, it makes sense to me now, just like you were just saying, if it's a hurricane and you need bread and that's the only thing out there, guess what? They're gonna have an appreciation for you. And the one thing too, Marisha, when you was talking about the bread, is when you turn that bread over and you look at the ingredients, they may look like they have what you need, but when you turned it over, you saw the ingredients, it's not what you need. So they might go to the next loaf of bread and see that guess what? They have whole wheat as the first ingredients. That's the
Hmm.
authenticity that you need, that you want from the person who's producing it. And so what you thought wasn't great, somebody gonna say like, oh my gosh, they got a colorful bag over there, but they got all the right ingredients over here. So that's you. You got to know
Hmm.
what you have to present because what you present, like stick to it. Don't start now doing artificial wheat. Stick to the whole wheat. Stick to what your plan is, what you're supposed to be offering as a brand. Now, sometimes you might have to revisit it and you might have to add in something else, but you got to stick to the main thing that drew the people in. And I promise you, if you stay connected to God, He's going to give you what you need to be putting out there. And this is where you can't come and self sabotage.
Hmm.
You can't. You gotta show up. You don't know until you do it, until you create it, until you put it on the shelf. If it's not on the shelf, how's somebody going to reach it and get it?
Sure.
How are they reach it and get it? If it's not online, how are they gonna reach it and get it and order it? So you just gotta go. I say this all the time. Go, do, be, say, create, present, offer it. And it's all about your mindset. You gotta get out of here defeating your mind. And I love when
Hmm.
the Bible said, think on these things. What are you thinking on?
Hmm.
Think of these things that are pure, that are just, that are lovely. And when you start to change the way you think, it changes the way you move. It changes the way you even encourages somebody else that's in the pursuit or that's doing the same thing. You know how many people, Marisha, that I have encouraged that create earrings. You know how many people that create earrings. You know how many people I buy earrings from because I know the process of creating. I know the
Hmm.
process of when you vending and you want somebody to buy. They don't know the behind the hours, the scene, the materials, the time, the creativity that it took to take. And guess what? God will illuminate you in a crowd. God will make your name great if you make his name great. He'll make
Mhm.
your name if you make his name great. I promise you, he will make you illuminate. He will put your name in the wind. He will set you up on hills and on mountains where you don't even think you are worthy to even be.
Mhm.
Literally. So that's what I'm saying. When you do it, you produce it, you put it on the shelf. Okay, be amongst them, but be the best that you can be while you're amongst them. Shine your light so bright. Show up. Listen, do taste tests and taste your bread. Okay, let them see and feel and hear your story. And sometimes we don't want to do that because guess what? Get 5 other people are doing it. Okay,
Mhm.
you still do you. Still do your plan. Still trust God. Still trust your gift, your creativity, and do it and go.
So everything that you said from start to finish in your last blurb was really encouraging. I know it's gonna be encouraging for other people because in my mind it was just hitting check box. That was encouraging for me. So I'm grateful that you took the time to really unpack that and break that down. Can you talk about for yourself, or I'll start by asking, have you ever had to be patient with yourself or be kind to yourself?
Absolutely. Being patient and kind to yourself is the key to keep going. Because if you are harsh with yourself, if you're not forgiving of yourself when you make a mistake, then sometimes you get stuck in where you are because you're saying, I should have took more time. I should have started early. I should have pulled this person in to help me, or I should have did this. I should have, would have, could have. And those what ifs can keep us paralyzed. And when we are paralyzed, we do absolutely nothing. So you got
Yeah.
to be forgiving of yourself when you are creating, when you are doing, when you're meeting, when you're going, so that you know that I'm human too,
Mhm.
with a business plan in God's will, but I just messed up. And
Mhm.
so I'm going to be patient with me because guess what? Our Father is so patient. He's so loving. He's so kind. He's so forgiving. And if I'm loving myself, I'm going to do that to myself as well. And you
Yeah.
should unapologetically give yourself permission to make mistakes and to keep going.
Yeah. I think for myself, it's been times that I was really hard on myself because things didn't come out the way that I wanted to a T. Like I was talking about how sometimes I feel like I have to have all the details and everything has to work out. But some of the times that I was hard on myself, people would give feedback like, "Oh, this was good." And then in my mind, what one of the things I've had to stop doing is wanting to rattle off or rehearse. I don't even know why they said that because this didn't work out, that didn't work out, but just kind of still rolling with it, still keeping stuff going and just
Mm.
appreciating the feedback, the good and the bad, but especially when people are complimenting me on something that I didn't think went over as well. That's one of the ways that I learned to be kind to myself, not being intentional about rejecting the compliments
Mm.
or the feedback because I didn't feel I deserved it based on how things didn't pan out.
That's so good. Because sometimes we'll reject the idea that came to our mind.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that's like a way that you're saying to your God that what you dropped in my spirit, I shouldn't have produced.
Mm-hmm.
But he's saying like to be patient with yourself and watch it work out. The only thing I need you to do is to start.
Mm-hmm.
I need you to go. I need you to put it where it needs to be put and watch it magnetize who should be coming to it. But sometimes, like you were just saying, Marisha, we want it to be perfect, and he just want us to go.
Mm-hmm.
He just want us to put one foot in front of the other, or one key at a time, or say one word at a time. And sometimes it's not perfect, but even when it's not perfect, somebody, if we are obedient, will be impacted by it. I have created things that I thought were amazing. I had to be patient with myself and be like, okay, go back in the lab and create something else.
Mm-hmm.
Go back and write something else.
Mm-hmm.
It's still valid, but it just might not feel as impactful to you. But to somebody else, it was like you were a lifeline, you were an answer prayer, you were an ear that I needed to express what I need to express. You were the person that helped me to look over this paper to see where I needed to go. So it's in the start. It's in the go where we find God. It's in the go where we find God. Hey, because his
Yeah.
name got go in it, right?
Yeah.
And so he's gonna back his go. All he needs is a vessel to operate through.
That's dope. I love that. He's gonna back his goal. Okay. I love that. So what about for you? Do you celebrate small wins? Or do you celebrate your wins at all?
Yes.
Okay.
And guess what else, Marisha? If I know that we are accountable to each other and you had a goal
Mhm.
and you did, I'm celebrating you. I'm going to remind you because just like you just said, you might not see that small win, that small goal as a victory, but I remembered. I remember when it took you a long time to even start it. But now that you did, I'm like, oh, even if I didn't even win, right? Because
Mhm.
sometimes we don't like to celebrate others' wins because we didn't win.
Yeah.
But I always try to celebrate something small. Like if I get a sale or if I was brave enough to go and talk to somebody when I almost let scared and fear take over,
Mhm.
I'm like, girl, you did that. And you didn't stutter. Or
Yeah.
you gotta celebrate that because when you celebrate something, guess what? You'll keep doing it.
Mhm.
So if you celebrate and praise a child, guess what? They're gonna keep trying to do it.
For
When
sure.
you celebrate and praise whoever, you're gonna keep trying to do it. And guess what? They're gonna respond to it. You're gonna respond to your praise. Just like the Father responds to our praise. There's a response to a praise. When there's a release, there's a response.
Oh yeah.
And so that's what we gotta do. Like, hey, you know what? I left the starting part, the
Mhm.
starting point, the starting line, and I'm going. I
Mhm.
might be going 5 miles per hour, and you going 50, but I'm going in my five. I'm gonna appreciate my 5 miles per hour
That's real.
because guess what? I'm gonna speed up
Mhm.
eventually. If I stay in the lane, if I stay in the race, if I stay consistent, I'm gonna speed up. So I'm gonna count my small wins. And I count my small wins because I've come a long ways. And I tell people all the time, like, if I got in my head, if I didn't see it as a win, I would still be back there.
Yeah. I was talking to my mom not too long ago. I was just thinking about times that it's not even that I'm rich, but I just remember times that I didn't have what I have now, you know, or like just starting out as a clinician, the salary that I was making then is not what I'm making now, or the things that I wanted to achieve financially, where they didn't even seem feasible at some points, as feasible as they're seeing now, or as feasible as they had become in order for me to hit some of my goals. And so, unfortunately, it was like retrospect, and I was like, God did that, or like just being, just really grateful for some people to to be, like you said, in their lane going 50, they may be trying to hit 100, so that's not good enough for them. But to be going to five, and you remember a time you were at like zero or one, or you didn't want to leave it all for whatever reason, and to find yourself with momentum and to find yourself further than you were when you started, that it's a good feeling, but it's definitely celebrating your wins. Like for me, the gratitude that you attach to it just takes you to.
Yes. Absolutely. And I think one thing that you said was reflection. In order for you to know that it's a win, you got to reflect on whatever your goals were. So you might do that every day. You might do it every week. You might do it once a month. But reflections are important because that's how you see your win. Because so much might be happening in that day, in that week, in that month that you might not notice a win. But there's a win in there if you reflect versus continuously going. You can continuously go, but you still need to pull over and check your windshield, check your rearview mirror to make sure that everything is still going so you can keep going. And then you'll see that, oh, all right, so I put that gas in there, so it's keeping me going. Or I put the air in the tire, or I had an oil change. That's a win that keeps you going. Sometimes we just forget to reflect and we just keep going, grinding, grinding. Then we get frustrated, then we get burned out. And in that, we miss the wins because we're trying to get up there to the 50 miles per hour like somebody else when your five is good enough. Or your 10, now that you left 5 miles per hour, you're at 10, and now that's good enough. but you try to keep up with somebody else, you might miss a win in your going if you are not focused and if you're not reflecting.
Yeah, but because for me, it leads to basically being ungrateful, and
Mm,
then the ungrateful leads to not staying in my lane. Like
mm,
looking at the people that's going 50, looking at looking at how fast what their vehicle is or whatever it is, their modalities and what they have going on, like how they 50, how they going 50, instead of just
right.
just staying in the posture of reflecting,
Mm,
taking those trips down memory lane, being grateful, and taking those wins that I need to keep going. It was
yes.
something that you mentioned about if you just get one sale. Have you ever been a part of the hustle culture, which is where you just really, instead of you realizing, all right, this is my target audience. These are the figures that I'm trying to make. This is what I need to get there. You kind of get caught up in, okay, well, if you're, let's say your merchandise is $50, but somebody coming to you like, all right, I can't give you 50, but I can give you 20. But because you're hustling, just trying to make things happen, you're like, okay, we'll go ahead and give me the 20 and keep it moving. Like, have you ever found yourself in a hustle culture where you kind of lowered your standards as not necessarily a creative, I guess you could say a creative, an entrepreneur, or in whatever facet that you know, just trying to get there, that you didn't really maintain the standards that you had for yourself?
I can say yes to that. Sometimes when you start comparing yourself and you start doing that hustle, and then you get out of the lane that you're in, that purpose lane, and now you get in the lane just so that you can get to a place. You don't even know what place you're trying to get to. You know, like I didn't know, like, okay, so what is my goal for this month?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you don't have that, you start to hustle and then you start bustling and doing all this stuff. And it's like, what am I hustling for? I don't even know what my hustle is, but I'm doing all this stuff. But I don't even have a aim for it. So I think that when we are doing what we're doing in the creative arena, that we must know, like, what am I hustling for? Because you hear people say team no sleep,
Mm-hmm.
you sleep when you're dead and all of that. And
Mm-hmm.
I just think that whatever your goal is for your creative vision, for what you're doing in the business world, if you remember, like some days you are gonna have to hustle because you have this goal. And not only do you have a goal, and this is what I always say, Marisha, is if I get the money, what am I gonna do with it? What is the assignment of the money that I'm hustling for?
Right. That's good.
Because you can have a lot of money and you can obtain a lot of money and you can obtain that money a lot of ways. That's not the way that you should be obtaining it. And then you get the money, then what are you going to do with it? Is it so that you can continuously on your journey for your business? Are you giving your 10% back to your church, right? Are you tithing it back? Are you trying to help a nonprofit with a percentage? Like, what is the goal of the money? Is it just to get your bank account fat, right? What is the goal of the money that you're obtaining, that you're losing your sleep, that you're only getting 2 hours of sleep?
Mm-hmm.
Like what's the exchange? And so you can hustle, hustle, hustle and get all these things. What, just to stunt on somebody, to little fly when you go to this event? Like what? Like cause I see it all the time, friend. I do. Just like when I had surgery and I went out and I wasn't creating earrings. So it was just like, okay, just slowly get back into it. It wasn't like, hey, you gotta grind to get back. It wasn't even like that at all. And it's still not like that right now. But in my mind, I'm thinking like, all right, so you gotta make your comeback sometime.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta come back in, you gotta get back in the game sometime.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that sometimes the hustle is good, friend. Have I hustled? Yes. But I think that when you asked the question about a price, did you ever feel like you had to lower your price just to get a sale? And I've done that before. And then I'm just like, because it took me too long to create it, to design it. And so my thing is like if you order from me, you get a card so you can get a percentage off. And if you If you are on the email list, we have flash sales. You get coupons. If you come out to the events that I'm at, then we have different designs that are not on the website. So there are ways. And I think if you know your value, then you don't have to lower your price. And sometimes the value change, right? Like today I'm feeling great, but then I'm like, hey, I ain't getting no sales, so I need to make this sale, just to be honest, right? And then you might lower the price. And sometimes sales happen and sometimes they don't. But I think just stick to who you are, your vision, your purpose. Know what your money assignment is. If you obtain, because I hear people say all the time, man, I just want to be a millionaire. Okay, if you became a millionaire, what you gonna do with the millions that you have? What you gonna do with it? You just want money, but why? What's the purpose of the money? And my mama always say money is made to go around. Money is currency, right? So it should continuously flow. So when you get it, or you're gonna invest in it. If you're investing, you get a return on it. What are you gonna do with the return? Like what you gonna do with it? And then and sometimes we just want it, friend. We just want it because. But if you're doing purpose in the hustle, you're doing purpose in the mission. God would align it. He'll send the right people. They'd be like, "That's all these earrings cost." Like or that's all this class costs. Or that's all this book costs. That's all this t-shirt costs. They were looking for you to start. They were looking for you to put that thing out there, that service out there. They were looking for you. Sometimes I'm just talking to the people at the table when I'm vending. They just like, I didn't even know that I needed to talk to you. I didn't even know that I needed to hear what you just said. So it can be in that too, friend. Your hustle can be like, God, how can I impact somebody today? I might not sell nothing, but how can I impact somebody?
Yeah, I love that. So my last question for you is, what tips can you share about managing fear?
It's a thing that arises constantly, but you have got to know when it arises, where is it coming from? What's the root of it? Because you don't want fear to become a fruit. You want to cut it at the root. I said this earlier. And once you do that and it comes again, you're going to have to reassess it again because different things trigger your feelings and your fear. And so you got to know, where is it coming from and how do I cut it off at the head? How do I get rid of it at the root? How do I align myself to, and then once I figure out that, then what I'm gonna do with it? What I'm gonna do, and I think that you got to stay connected to whoever your higher being is, so that you know who you are and then whose you are, so that when it arises, you can start quoting those scriptures. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I am the head and not the tail. I am the lender, not the borrower. Right? I am his. He is my friend. He is my father. He is Jehovah. You can start saying that to remind you, to encourage your inner. Because guess what? Those things come from within. And so if you can encourage your inner, then what comes out, what is personified, what people see and what they hear and what they experience in your presence is going to be what keeps your fear at bay. It's what's going to keep your fear on the low. And sometimes you still got to do it scared. Hello. Yeah. Done it many a times. You still got to do it scared. Like, you scared? Okay, you still got to do it. You still got to produce it. And guess what? If you don't do it then, he going to bring it right back and say, oh, okay, it's still your assignment to do. And if you recognize it, and if you know you, and you know the things that trigger you, things that cause you anxiety, you're going to have to know what you need to do to keep that down. And if you can keep this is another thing. If you can keep feet off of fear, but keep feet on faith, you can go further. If you can keep feet off of fear and keep feet on faith, you can go further. I think that when we give fear feet, that thing walk, that thing go. Yes, it run you. And so the thing about, even when I think about the word fear, Marisha, it has the word ear in it, right? And so you got to be careful of what you are hearing, because what you're hearing, you're feeding, and that thing internalizes, and it can cause fear to be stirred up. So that's why I kept saying, like, you gotta stay connected to your higher being, whoever that is, so that you can really have faith over fear. We see that all the time on t-shirts, on bumper stickers. That's how you have faith over fear, is by staying connected. And sometimes that means staying connected to wise counsel. That means staying connected, being surrounded by people who can keep you accountable. That means getting into group where people can mentor you and they're not judging you if you made a mistake, if you said the wrong thing, if you lost all your money, if you did a bad deal, a bad investment. They can be like, okay, that happened. But that, you still got purpose, you still got a plan, you still got somewhere to go.
Very true.
You still got to do it. And sometimes we think that, oh, that's the out. The fear is the out. No, the fear is the start. And I always say about face the fear and keep going. Face the fear and keep going. That's what I would leave with. Face the fear and keep going. If you got feet on faith and you let that run you can be running in all the right directions. Because guess what? You're going to ask God to order your steps.
Very true. Very true. Okay. That's good. I've enjoyed this conversation and I appreciate you. Your shameless plug. Let everyone know where they can find you and anything that you want them to know about what it is that you offer, what it is that you have coming up, going on, all that kind of good stuff.
All right, guys. So, like I said at the beginning, my name is Swanda Warren. I'm the owner, operator, designer at Irresistible by Swan's Design. If you need some dope earrings, you got an event coming up, or you want to gift some earrings, the holidays are coming up. You can go to www.swans, SWANS design, DESIGN is all one word.com, and you will see a variety of earring designs. If you have a business, we have business logo earrings. We have all kinds of things to help you push your business forward. Or if you go to a business meeting, you want your ears to be fire, sweet as candy, that for you too. So you can follow me on Facebook at Swans Design. And you can follow me on Instagram at Swans Design as well. Yes, and we have custom earrings. So if you need earrings for an event that if you have an event coming up and you want to put things in goodie bags or bags for your VIP, come on, reach out to your girl and see what we can work out. But yeah, thank you, Marisha, for this opportunity. And I do have some vending events coming up. I'll send them to Marisha so that she can put them so that you can receive them. And I hope to meet some of you all. And keep going, doing, and being with whatever you are sent to the earth to do. Remember, creativity can unleash the possibilities for you and for others.
Thank you. So I think you may have already said it, but I just want to provide opportunity just in case. Do you have a final thought that you want to leave?
Well, I'm so looking at things around me. I am enough. Remember that you are enough. If you mess up, get back up. Because even in the mess up, somebody can grow up from that. So when you think that you are not enough, or when you think that your idea is not enough, or it's not enough pages for the book, it's not enough time for the session, listen, somebody can benefit from it. Somebody can grow from it, and somebody can go from it. So keep doing it and keep doing it well.
That's good. Thank you. I appreciate your time, your energy. Energy is in you being energetic. But
Yes.
I appreciate all those things and you just being willing to come and share and just be encouraging, not just to me, but people that I believe will hear this later on. So I'm grateful for that. I appreciate who you are outside of
Yeah.
the opportunities that we exchange, the conversations and being in each other's presence and things like that. I appreciate that. So I'm
Yeah.
grateful that people would get an opportunity to kind of get, I guess you could say, a sneak peek into some motivation that they may need for some things that they have coming up. So thank you all for listening. As always, I appreciate it. Have a great day. If you've liked what you heard, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your support helps us reach more people who might benefit from these type of conversations. Also, we'd love to hear your thoughts and questions about today's episode. Reach out on Instagram at Marisha Cares or send an email to contact@callmarisha.com. Your feedback and stories are always welcome. Last, make sure you check out show notes for inspirational bonuses.